everybody, I'm Allison,
And I'm Jill.
and this is Fly as One, the YouTube series where we talk to the Olympic hopefuls of USA field hockey. So for this week's episode, we'd like to start by thanking Skills Machine for sponsoring us. Skills Machine is a fun training device with 18 different skills challenges. You can learn more about it and see videos at skillsmachine.com. We'll have that link down below, and it will also be linked in our link tree. And you can use code FLY40 to save $40 on a Skills Machine. Jill, I think you got a chance to test it out while you were at PA Cup this weekend.
Yep, really cool. There's so many different games challenges on it, and yeah, just a really neat product.
And there's a marker. Yeah, it could have also been doing it on the indoor surface. Yeah. You take the plastic off. And this is the 4-second version.
Okay, tell me now. So definitely check that out. We'll have it linked below in the link tree, probably elsewhere. But for today's episode, we're going to be joined by Beth Yeager, who's a national team member, an Olympic hopeful, and a Princeton University athlete. Please welcome Beth Yeager.
So thank you for joining us today. Today we have current U.S. Women National Team member Beth Yeager. Beth was a part of the team that qualified for the Olympics in India, and she is also a member of the Princeton field hockey team. So thanks for joining us today, Beth.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
All right, so to start off this week's episode, you guys got honored at Charlotte FC this past weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about it and like what happened?
Yeah, so basically, they had the whole team come down to the field and just like kind of give us a round of applause for qualifying for the Olympics. It was really special to like get to have a moment like that. Obviously, just getting to go on like a professional like sports stadium field is pretty cool. And it's also like where the Panthers play. And we've all like been to games before and seen them play there. So it was pretty special to be able to get on the field and like just kind of take a look around. And it was really nice to like feel supported by like Charlotte as a community, and have a lot of people like cheer for us and recognize us.
Cool. Okay, so for our fan question for this week, Jenny Rizzo asked if you could sing a song for us, but I'm not going to make you do that. So instead, what's your go-to karaoke song?
I think probably anything from Mamma Mia. As like the team knows, I'm a huge Mamma Mia fan, and they've probably heard me sing it about 100 times. So that's probably where that question came from. I think out of like all the songs, probably just like Mamma Mia, the song is like pretty much my go-to. My teammates, yeah, have heard me sing that many times at 7 a.m. before practice. They've been graced with my lovely singing voice. So
Yeah, I saw that question and I was like, oh, I'm sure there's a story behind that one.
definitely a pointed question from Jenny, which I appreciate.
Okay, so we're gonna start off with the high school and club segment, which is entirely too long, but it's fine. For high school, you attended Sacred Heart Greenwich, which has an insane hockey program. How much of a role do you think that being able to play at such a competitive high school has helped you throughout your career?
I mean, it's definitely had a big impact. I think like the emphasis on field hockey definitely grew throughout my time at Sacred Heart. I was at Sacred Heart for a long time. I started there in kindergarten and then graduated from there. So I saw like the field hockey program change a lot throughout my years there. I think obviously like it's a great team, it's a great program. One of the great things about it too is it's just like a very like supportive like team environment, and I think that allowed me to like feel comfortable to like grow and try a lot of new things, and just have like a lot of fun with field hockey. Another great thing about Sacred Heart is the field. It was the second high school in the country to have an AstroTurf, and that obviously like really elevated my game. from being able to practice there, like for Sacred Heart and also just like all year round. So that was pretty special. And like, I'm lucky to have like that opportunity because a lot of people don't even get to play club on Astro, let alone high school. So.
So you're pretty well known for your drag flick. Just FYI, we are pro Beth Yeager's drag flick on this podcast.
Thank you.
So who taught you how to drag flick, and do you have any tips or tricks for players who are wanting to learn?
Mhm. Um, so I kind of learned to drag flick in a little bit of like an unorthodox way. I didn't like go to anybody and just like start drag flicking. I kind of like heard about it when I was younger. I started to like watch videos of like Blake Govers a lot online and just try to like recreate it. And I also flicked a lot in indoor, so I kind of just like started there and tried to take my indoor flick and just do it on an outdoor field. And then after that, like I've worked with different coaches and with the national team. We have some coaches that we work with too. Um, so yeah, that's kind of like my background into getting into it. I don't know. It's like a very complicated skill, and it takes like a lot of years to learn. But I guess I think like the most important thing is obviously like just practicing over and over again, because it's similar to even like kind of like pitching mechanics. You have to like really invest a lot of time into it. And then I think like the most important thing for me is like making sure that you have like the ball like roll up your stick and you really focus on that component because that's what really takes it from just being like a push pass to creating it into a drag flick. And that's where you get like a lot of like your power from.
Yeah, I've been a little famous on Twitter for saying that you should be taking all of our drag flicks to the point that Dan, who's one of the commentators, will say it in the broadcast that the Twitter people want you to take the drag flicks on corners. So I think that's like my one claim to fame.
Thank you.
Okay, so as someone who lived in Connecticut for 3 years, you played at WC Eagles, but you lived in Connecticut.
Mhm.
How far was that commute, and what made you decide that it was worth it?
Um, it's a pretty far commute. It was about like 3 hours on an average day. So I'm very lucky to have parents that were so supportive and like willing to make that sacrifice for me. I started doing it in the 8th grade after I went to a summer camp at WC. And I think what made me do it was just like obviously WC is such an incredible club. And I had knew that from playing with them and then from attending the summer camp. And June and Richard, the coaches, like really expressed to me how big of an opportunity it was for me to join WC. And I really could see that from like playing against them. And so I guess I just kind of felt like it was a really good opportunity to become the best field hockey player I could be. And so even though it's obviously like a very long commute, I just thought that if I wanted to be the best that I could be, that it was kind of the best way to do it. And it was worth the investment. So that's kind of how I got into the long, treacherous commute down there for 5 years.
So you got to play internationally as a U14 with WC Eagles. Can you talk a little bit about that experience and how you think that gaining that international experience at such a young age has like helped you in your development as player?
Yeah, I think that experience was really important for me. And I think for other people that had it as well. I think first of all, just because it allowed you to see the different playing styles in other countries, because different countries play in very different ways and emphasize like different aspects of the game. So I went to Holland, which is obviously like kind of like the field hockey capital. And so just I think seeing like that skill level was like very inspiring for me and very motivating, knowing that like there was a whole country of people that are so committed to field hockey and have all these skills that I never even really thought of before or seen before. And then I think also like seeing that kind of makes you get like almost like bit by the field hockey bug a little bit and feel like super excited to like try to compete on like even more of an international stage and like kind of keep going. And it was very motivating for me. And yeah, it just like made field hockey, I think, something like really fun, something that I like look forward to like pursuing.
How old were you when you did that tour? You
I
know?
was 13. Yeah, I was
Okay.
13. Yeah.
So like that's 8th grade, maybe?
Yeah, it was like right after the end of my 8th grade year.
Okay. And then I know you touched a little bit about the coaching, but what do you think sets WC Eagles apart from other clubs?
I think there are a lot of aspects. I think it's a very unique club. One thing is that just the training is so rigorous and they really do push you to become better and to be the best you can be. Um, and yeah, so just like the pure like quality of it, I guess. And then I think we just practiced like a lot. So it was a lot of quality and quantity of training. Um, and I think the coaches, all of them, Jude and Richard, Guy, Jaja, are all just like incredible like field hockey coaches. They have like a lot of understanding of the game, of skill, of tactics. And I think that even from like an early age, they really impress that upon like the players and do a great job of like breaking it down, explaining it, and making sure that we're really like understanding a skill as opposed to just kind of doing it not at a like great level and not really understanding like why we're doing it, I guess. And I think also WC, there's so many great players at WC that it's not just the coaching that makes you better. It's like getting the opportunity to play against really great players. So that really like pushes you to become better, see different skills, and like, yeah, just enhance your field hockey game.
Awesome. So now we're going to talk a little bit about college field hockey. So what did the recruitment process to Princeton look like for you, and why did you choose Princeton?
So I had a pretty like short recruitment process. I committed before the rule changed. So I committed early in the fall of my ninth grade year to Princeton. Um, I think Princeton, people have said this a lot before, like, but I think it really was true for me. It was very easy to decide because I kind of stepped onto campus and it just felt like home, and I just kind of felt like that's where I should be. I wanted like a high level of academics and athletics, and I think Princeton really like checked that box for me. And I really loved like the coaching staff. It seemed like the team got along really well and was having a lot of fun while also like performing at a high level. And so I think that's why I kind of felt like it was such a great environment. And after I saw that, I didn't really feel like I needed to see any other schools. And so I kind of just went for it and committed pretty early.
So you took a year off for national team work. Can you walk us through kind of what your thought process was when you decided to take the year off, especially since you attend an Ivy League school?
Mm-hmm. Um, I think I decided to take the year off just because obviously like Princeton can be very academically demanding and athletically demanding. And obviously the national team is a full-time commitment. And I'm kind of used to balancing both, but I think I kind of felt like this year was a time that I need to choose one over the other. And it I was a very appropriate time to completely focus on field hockey and give field hockey my all, and try to become the best player it could be. And then when the time comes, I can go back to Princeton and use that time to like focus on my athletics more. And also, obviously, like with Princeton, like the team is very important to me, and I didn't want to be splitting time between the national team and the Princeton team. And I really just wanted to focus on one area and give it my all so that I could kind of, yeah, do my best in like each realm, I guess.
What are your thoughts about the Ivy League finally having a conference tournament now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I haven't played in it yet, so I'm not quite sure like my feelings on it. I think I'll know more once I play, but I think it's like my first impression is it's really nice to like mirror the other conferences. The Ivy League obviously is different in some other ways from like the ACC and Big Ten, and will like always will be because it's just how it's like meant to be. But it's nice to see that they're kind of trying to make it a similar like level of competition and competitive environment and kind of like mirror that and match it. So yeah, I'm excited to like try it next year when I go back.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the national team and qualifiers and all that good stuff. So you scored the lone goal in the qualifying game against New Zealand in the second quarter off a penalty corner. What was that like in the moment, celebrating with your teammates, all that stuff?
It was really special. I think like just feeling like I could contribute to the team and obviously like an important game. I think brought me like a lot of joy. My teammates obviously are like so supportive. And it was just like a great team moment overall to like get that goal. And yeah, we played New Zealand many times, like the month prior. And so it was nice to like kind of feel like we were ahead of them, and we were in a good spot in like an important game.
So after you qualified and you took, a billion photos, who was the first person you called and what was their reaction?
The first person I called was my mom. And my dad was also there. They were just like really happy for me, pretty like overjoyed. I think like obviously like everyone's worked so hard to get where they are. And especially like this year on the team, we like worked really hard and it's a very stressful situation, of course. So I think just they're really happy for me to like kind of accomplish that and they're happy to like for the team. And it was special to like have kind of like a family moment as well as like celebrating with the team.
So is there anyone on the team? I mean, we have a very young national team. So is there anyone on the team that you look up to or kind of look, over to for guidance?
I mean, I think like there's a lot of people on the team. I think that's like one of the things that makes the team so special is we all are like pretty close and we all kind of like rely on each other and hold each other accountable. I think we are like a really young team, so I would say probably like some of the more like veteran players like Amanda or Ashley Hoffman have been like kind of role models for me and like becoming an international player and learning like what that looks like off the field and on the field. Yeah, and just like learning how I can become a better player and like the process to getting there.
What is something that you think that sets Team USA apart from like other programs?
I think like we're still like kind of figuring that out and coming into our own. This was obviously like a big moment for us qualifying. I think, there are like there's a lot of like younger players on the team. And so we're all kind of coming together and figuring out what our team looks like. But I think right now the thing that kind of sets us apart is one, like our connection, and how much we do want to work with each other and like grow together and play together. We really are like all very selfless and like kind of we want to win for each other, not just ourselves. And then I think secondly after that is like our desire and like our like relentlessness on the field, and like our physicality, I think was like a big component of our game and continues to like be a big piece of our game.
How do you think that like you guys being centralized in Charlotte for what? Almost a year, 6 months.
Yeah.
How do you think that that's kind of impacted your bond as like a program? And then also, your 50-day stint in India.
Yeah. I mean, I think being centralized has been really like critical to like strengthening our connection as a group. I think before that we definitely were connected, but seeing each other every day at practice really just like deepens that. And I think it gives us an advantage over other teams because a lot of other teams aren't centralized. And so it allows us to build like a connection, not just off pitch, but also on pitch and like really learn how each other plays. So yeah, I think like being centralized was really important to qualifying. And then in India, I think, it's a very unique experience to even go to India for like a couple weeks, but being there for 7 was something else and not something that a lot of people have experienced. So I think like through that, we also definitely like became closer, and not just being in India, but like getting our goal of qualifying, and like succeeding under the pressure that we felt together, I think also like really like enhanced our connection and like, yeah, connection as a team.
So you guys have an upcoming May-June series over in Europe. Is there anything that you are specifically working on improving going into that series and then also while they're, working on naming the Olympic team?
Like me as an individual.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have been like bouncing around positions a little bit. Usually I'm a midfielder and I'm now playing a little bit more forward. So I've just been like really focusing on like goal scoring skills, different like elimination skills, trying to become like quicker and like get at my acceleration. And then also becoming obviously like a more lethal shooter is always a focus. So that's kind of like my focus going into the next like block of games.
What's it like growing up, playing against like your current teammates or with them in the USA pipeline, and then, fast forward, you're accomplishing the goal of qualifying for the Olympics together?
Um, I think like it makes all of it a lot more special, just like seeing each other develop. Because obviously like our journey together isn't just like this year. It's been like basically since we started field hockey. Some of my teammates like I played with throughout my club experience, and like Ashley Sessa and I have basically played like every single game outside high school and college together. So, and other people I've been on the junior team with, and played against in college and stuff. So it makes it like really special and rewarding, I think, to like see not only like yourself achieve something, but see like other people that you've kind of grown up with, like become better and like achieve it with you. It makes it like a lot more worthwhile, I guess. And yeah, special.
And then our last question before we get to the fun questions is, can you tell us a little bit more about Play It Forward?
Mhm. So, Play It Forward is like a field hockey coaching group that I started to try to just give like free clinics to schools and like areas that don't really have field hockey. So right now I'm mostly working with a school in Stamford, Connecticut called Waterside School. But I'm looking to like work with other schools as well, just to use like my time and like experience as a field hockey player to try to like encourage other people to become interested in the sport, and just fall in love with the sport like I did.
And we'll give you a free little plug. If anyone wants to contact you about it, how do they contact you?
So you can look up my Instagram, Play It Forward. It's also linked in my bio of Yeager_Beth. And I have a website as well, which you can find on the Instagram.
Okay, cool. We'll also link it down below, and
Yeah.
I'll probably add it to my link tree. So now we're gonna get into the fun questions where there are no rules. Um, so the first, uh, do you want to ask the first one, Joe?
Yeah, I can. Do you have any game day superstitions?
Yeah, so I have a lot of superstitions. I've actually been working on trying to cut some of them back because it can be a big commitment. Um, but so my like biggest one is that I always have to listen to Dreams and Nightmares by Meek Mill, but I don't just listen to it. I like kind of like sing it to myself silently in the locker room, and I can get like, very into it. My teammates always make fun of me because they say it looks like I'm like whispering like some kind of like spell over the game. And the other one is I'm just a huge like caffeine addict, so I basically like just like chugging black coffee for like an hour before the game.
Okay. I mean, it's not as bad as having lucky socks.
Yeah.
So,
A little bit more convenient.
yeah, we had a conversation with Jenny last week for about all the lucky socks, and just
Yeah.
we're not team lucky socks over here. So, being that you're from Connecticut and you live in New Jersey and people have extremely strong opinions about pizza around here, which do you think is better?
I would have to say Connecticut, specifically New Haven pizza. Um, but I also would say that I think there are different types of pizza, so they're not really comparable. But if I had to choose a favorite, I would probably say like specifically New Haven, Connecticut pizza.
I'm going to politely disagree. However, they are very different types of
Yeah,
pizza. Like
they are.
a pizza is not the same thing as pizza.
No, it's not.
Do you have a favorite spot to go to in Charlotte, like a favorite restaurant, store, or like coffee shop or something?
I love to go to Giddy Goat coffee shop in Charlotte. It's a kind of a team favorite. So I was introduced by a couple teammates to it. Yeah, it's a really nice spot, and I love to just like kind of go there and get some like chill time. And yeah, just relax after like long practices and stuff.
What's your go-to order there?
Kind of depends on the day. I'm a big black coffee drinker. So usually a black coffee, but I also do enjoy like a cappuccino or something like that. I'm a pretty basic coffee drinker, but it's more about like the quantity for me, I guess. So it's three black coffees instead of like one usually for me.
You're not from Pennsylvania, so normally I wouldn't ask this. However, do you have a Wawa or a Sheetz order?
So I do have a Wawa order. I kind of consider myself like a honorary member of Pennsylvania. But I like last time I went, I was at a Wawa. It became chicken tenders with the barbecue sauce. Um, and then in addition, I would always get like the sugar-free like Arnold Palmer Wawa version. That was always like my go-to.
They just came out with French fries like relatively recently,
Um,
and their French fries are actually really good for no reason.
I could see that. Wawa is actually pretty high quality. They have a wide variety of good stuff.
Yeah, it's very interesting, but their fries are like extremely high quality for like a gas station. But it's
Wow.
it's not a gas station.
No, I'll have to try them next time I go.
And then I know we kind of touched on this already, but who's on your game day playlist?
So Dreams and Nightmares, the Meek Mill, and then I have some Eminem on there as well, and then I'm a big Rihanna fan. So I usually have like at least like five songs of hers on there as well.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you had fun. And we're gonna head into the post show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great to be here.
Thank you so much to Beth Yeager for joining us. We had a really fun time. Um, as someone who went to Sacred Heart University, big fan of Sacred Heart Greenwich, great high school, and then obviously WC is WC. Um,
Gotta
so
respect it.
yeah, now we're gonna get into the post show. We need like a jingle or something.
Now we're going to the post show.
We're gonna work on that. Anyone with a anyone good at music, hit me up, please. So this weekend, the both of us were extremely busy. Jill, do you want to start by telling everyone what you did this weekend?
Yeah, so I got to go to the first ever PA Senior Cup, which was hosted by Female Athlete News at Lower Dolphin Middle School. So the tournament started on Saturday with some modification because of all the rain that was happening in Pennsylvania this weekend. But the final two teams I got to see were Hershey versus Lancaster, who actually ended up coming out of the West. So I got to see a lot of great athletes. Hershey ended up coming away with the win, a 3-2 overtime win. Keely Bowers from Lancaster scored a couple of goals. Nia Massey had the game tying and the game winning goal for Hershey. She's actually committed to Kent State to run track.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Brenna. I'm gonna botch her name, I'm sorry. Campania. She's Manheim Township player and she's committed to go to Wake Forest. Just a real steady player in the backfield, and I was just really impressed by her play. Another defender also for Team Lancaster is Addison Shawley. I got to see her play a lot this past fall when I was covering Palmyra field hockey, and she's committed to go to Lehigh this upcoming fall, and she's just another real steady defender with an extremely high field hockey IQ.
And I
Um,
heard you got to meet or got to see some YouTube web series alum.
yes, I got to see Maddie Zimmer and Ashley Sessa. They were there honored by Fan, and they were signing autographs, and it was great to talk to them. Also, the D2 national champs, Kutztown, were in attendance. So got to meet some of them and talk with them, and that was pretty awesome. It was just like a really great day of field hockey. You got to see like I think what was so awesome about it was like you just got to see like the possibilities of field hockey. So you got to see all these seniors who have been playing field hockey since they were young, and all of a lot of great players who are committed to go continue their career. You got to see the Kutztown national champs, which was their first title in program history. And then you got to see Ashley and Maddie, who, Olympic hopefuls, helped USA qualify for the Olympics. So I just think it was really cool to see like the possibilities for field hockey.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like a really cool event. I'm not jealous of you guys for the amount of pouring rain you got because I was in a bubble this weekend. So,
Yeah, the rain could have not.
yeah, it was downpouring. The weather this weekend was just horrendous. But yeah, so I spent my weekend in Florham Park at I think it's just like the sports complex or sports dome at Florham Park. Honestly, don't really know the name. I spent my weekend at the lineup, which is it's recruiting clinics for high school players. So basically, you like choose your own schedule, and then you get to play directly for a bunch of coaches. It's a mix of head coaches and assistant coaches. So it's really fun to get to meet all of the coaches, and then get to meet them and be like casually slip in, not I'm the field hockey analyst, and then they're always like, oh my God. Because like it's just like one of those things that I don't really talk about. Like obviously my face is on here, but I don't post my face too much. So I'll like I was talking to Kelsey, who's the head coach at Lehigh, and I like mentioned it and she was just like, "Oh my God," because I don't show my face. So it's always really fun to talk to the coaches. The staff at lineup is amazing. I love all the girls there. This is my second time working an event with them, and it's just like a really good group of people. I think the recruiting events are cool because you get to you get to do clinics with coaches, and they do the drills. They pick the drills. They're all drills that they would use at a normal practice. So you kind of get to see what the coaches are like, what their coaching style is like. Is it a good fit for you? So it's a lot of fun. I also got to meet a handful of players. I mean, I met a lot of players, but a handful of players who knew who the field hockey analyst was. Had some really,
Always an added bonus.
yeah, I had a couple of conversations, met some parents, which is always fun. But yeah, so it was a very eventful weekend for both of us. We're both exhausted for upcoming opportunities to meet us because we know you want to.
You've been waiting for it. It's on your bucket list.
Absolutely. So if you want to, meet the field hockey analyst, I'll be at the Princeton Rutgers game, which I believe is on April the 5th, which in my head I'm thinking is a Friday, so that might not be the right date. And then I will also most likely be making an appearance at the club tournament that's in Delaware the same weekend that I'm absolutely forgetting the name of. And then I'll be at all lineups all summer. We do still have some openings left. If you want to, do a lineup and maybe get the added benefit of meeting me. I wouldn't recommend that as the sole reason why you do a lineup. It's actually a really great program. However, if you want to meet me, I will be there. So, all right, let's get into the indoor Pan Ams. So the indoor Pan Ams happened last week. Game one had happened, but when we recorded, I don't remember if game two had happened already.
I feel like while we were recording the post show, it was happening against Canada.
Okay. Yeah, so in game two against Canada, we won 6-2 with Reese Diario. I say it wrong every single time. Getting 5 goals. This kid, because she is still in high school, this kid is insane. She's a 2027, and she scored 5 goals in one game. And then she goes and she gets a hat trick in game 3. Then she scores 1 goal in game 4. And then she scores 4 goals in the final against Argentina to tie it and put him in shootouts.
That's 7 that's 7 goals against Argentina.
Alone. Argentina alone, and Argentina's amazing.
Yeah. That's just she's unreal.
I don't
know how to describe that.
She's so talented at such a young age. It's insane to watch. Just seeing her play, she's just insane to watch.
I don't want to rush her, but I can't wait to see her play college field hockey.
I cannot wait to see her play college. And honestly, like I really hope that the outdoor national team, like the senior national team, calls her up soon. I know she's playing in the Four Nations tournament, which we'll touch on in a little bit for I believe the U16 team. I don't know if it's U16s or U18s. I know she's playing in this tournament.
I feel like we
We
highlighted
could
it.
check.
U18 white.
Yeah. So she's playing in U18 white in the Four Nations tournament that's happening this week. So she's already playing up a little bit, considering she's 2027, so she's what, 14 maybe 13. Um, I don't know how old ninth graders are. That's
I think you're 14 in ninth grade. You turn
okay.
15, I think. I think.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I think I teach ninth graders. I think they're all 14,
Okay.
maybe 15.
I have no clue. But yeah, like so she's already playing up a little bit. She's playing U18 instead of U16. But I would love, 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 love for not this pro league series or like this pro league season because we are preparing for an Olympics, but next pro league season, have her play in a pro league tournament and just see how she does.
I think there's serious potential for that.
Like,
Because you're probably gonna see maybe after this like Olympics, maybe some people like transition out or there just might be mixed up with the roster. But I just really think she brings like kind of a new added spunk that I
yeah,
think would be good.
yeah, I mean, we already have such a young team, but like if you look at if you follow women's soccer has like 16, 17-year-olds playing at the professional level. So it's not like it's the most uncommon thing in the world. Like it's at least happening in soccer. And like I mean, soccer we have like 34, 35-year-olds on the field as well. We don't really have that in field hockey right now, at least for this USA side. But I want to see her play in like a national team game. I really do. There's so much potential in that kid. It's like insane.
No, I'm with you. I think we could definitely, I feel like sooner rather than later, like you said, after this Olympic kind of cycle, probably would definitely want to see her in a pro league game.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are other people who scored in this tournament. Matson made her first goal on the international stage since she became the head coach. Hope Rose had 4 goals in the game against Uruguay. The first game against Uruguay. Is it Uruguay or Uruguay?
I think it's Uruguay.
Uruguay, okay. And then she had 2 goals in the second game against them. And then Hope Rose, Erin Matson, and Riley Hack all converted shootouts in the game against Argentina to win the gold medal for the Indoor Pan Americans this year. So congratulations to the team. It was a pretty good performance from USA. And this qualifies us for the Indoor World Cup, which I have no clue when that is.
Me either. Hope Rose, just like she's like if there's a shootout, like she is like somebody I want on my team, like going up for that shootout. I know a couple years ago, the 2022 season, she scored the game deciding goal to help send Maryland back to the Final Four against Syracuse. So she just comes up really clutch in those moments.
Oh. And then on the men's side, I don't have as detailed of notes because, we don't have Reece Diario to talk about. But the men's team finished in third place. They had 4 wins and 2 losses, which is, it was a pretty good performance from the men's team. I thought they looked very good, especially knowing that like our men's side is not as developed. I will say, considering how underdeveloped our men's side is in USA field hockey, our men's team is actually very good. I'm really hoping that, especially with this 2028 Olympics coming up, we will see even if it's not a centralized group like we have for the women in Charlotte, we have a little bit more of a consistency. And then also we see more of a push to get male practice players at colleges or having male players on U18 club teams, kind of making how we have Nexus for the girls, making Nexus a clearer pathway for the guys. Because we don't really have a pipeline right now. And I think that knowing how talented we are without a pipeline and without any like structure, we could be we could be a very competitive program, like a top program, if we put in the structure to have that pipeline and to make it as well developed as our women's programs are.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there because their talent is there. It just needs to be kind of
Like recognized and
right. Yeah, like because there's definitely I know like people who are like practice players for like division uh all the division like teams or whatever. But so like just kind of acknowledging the talent there and kind of building up that foundation, I think would be really beneficial to the game of field hockey overall in the United States.
yeah, and I think it would help grow the game a lot.
Definitely.
And then speaking of our youth development teams, so U21s had a camp this weekend. Can't say much else about it, but they did have a camp this weekend.
Nice.
And then U16s and U18s will be competing in the Four Nations tournament this upcoming week in Netherlands. I cannot find streaming information for this anywhere, so I do not believe that it is being live streamed, which is honestly unfortunate, because we do really like to see, the development of these youth players. If you want to know who we're excited to see, you can go back and watch our episode number 2 with Maddie Zimmer. In the post show, we talk all about it. And then there's also a junior men's national team tour going on at the same exact time. So our men's team, our U18 and our U21 men's team are going to be playing against HDM Hockey Club from March 25th to April 1st. So they're going to basically be there at the same exact time. And this is going to be a selection, basically act as a selection camp or selection event for the 2024 Junior Pan American Championships that are happening this summer in Canada for the men's squad. They start their games on Tuesday, March 26th, which is definitely going to have been passed when you guys see this video because that's tomorrow, with the 21s playing. So they have, they're getting some more international experience. You can never go wrong with playing a Netherlands team. As Yeager said in the interview, it's really the hotbed for field hockey. It's like the Pennsylvania of the world for field hockey, if that makes sense. So, get some more experience, get our men playing, get them together and a little, coagulated. I think that's too big of a word for me to be using, but I don't know if that's the right word. You're the English teacher.
Sure, it works.
Okay. All right. So moving on. I'm gonna talk about a job opening real quick. Lehigh is hiring an assistant coach. I talked to Kelsey this weekend, and they're looking for someone who's offensive minded or a goalkeeping coach. I mean, if you could do both, that would be amazing. I gotta say, it's a very well-paying job for an assistant coach position. I'm not gonna say that, or I'm not gonna say anything furthermore, but there is like a pay range or pay scale on the job listing. Pretty good for an assistant coach from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Just saying, Lehigh holds a special place in my heart. I love that field. It's so pretty. But back in 2021, I was at Sacred Heart. We were, warming up, and I was picking up the balls that were going over the line, whatever. And I went to kick it, and my foot missed the ball, and I fell backwards and broke my arm, and then passed out on their field. This was before Kelsey was the coach, so she has no clue that this happened. But let me tell you, it was not one of my finer moments in life. I did not tell anyone that I thought I broke my arm. I was just like, hey, I kind of just blacked out. Can I just have water? I put an ice pack on my wrist because my wrist hurt, but also because I was dehydrated and kind of blacked out. And then I watched the entire 2-hour game because it was one of my friend's first ever collegiate starts was that game. It was her first college start, and I wasn't about to miss that. And then I sat on the 8-hour bus ride home with a broken arm, didn't say anything, and then I went to the emergency room in Bridgeport, Connecticut at 10 p.m. with my best friend. She drove me because I broke my arm. And then, yeah, it was such an experience.
What?
I just got diagnosed with a stress ulcer the week before. So at least it made my stress ulcer stop hurting.
Yay.
But yeah, so just like a fun little fact about the Lehigh Fields. If if you're ever there, just remember that I broke my arm there. But seriously, Kelsey used to be the coach at New Haven, so I've met her a handful of times there because Sacred Heart plays New Haven a lot for scrimmages. And like Kelsey is an absolute sweetheart. She's a great head coach. You also have Zoe Day on defense. She's top 4 in the country for defensive saves. Girl is absolutely insane. I've also met her mother and her sister once. And they're absolutely sweethearts. So yeah, gonna promote Lehigh. Absolutely would apply for a job there. You're not gonna be disappointed. You could talk about Webster.
Yeah. So we got to give a shout out to McKenna Webster, who won her second national championship with Ohio State women's ice hockey yesterday. Webster is a dual athlete who plays for the field hockey team and the ice hockey team. This is actually her second national championship. She won in 2021 with Wisconsin, and then she transferred to Ohio State a couple seasons later. But got to give major props to McKenna Webster. Like, dual athlete that's intense, and that's awesome to be able to win a championship.
I think back in, it might have been November, it was like right around the tournament. They posted a picture of the field hockey team watching her at like a scrimmage for like ice hockey, and it was like during field hockey season, and I was just like, I don't know how this girl does it.
No.
She is, if you've seen her play field hockey, she's absolutely insane.
I love watching her.
Is she a right mid or is she the right forward?
She's a right forward.
So she's the right forward. Every single time that girl, her and the right mid connected, they always were getting circle entries. They were insane. The two of them were absolutely dynamic together.
And her goal in the Big Ten, I believe it was quarterfinals against Penn State. The OT, it was either OT or double OT.
I can't remember
winner was.
Such a good goal.
Yeah, she's awesome. I can't say enough. So we are McKenna Webster stan on this
Add it to the list.
The list is growing.
So for this week's game of the week, my pick is Boston versus Northeastern. These are two teams that are actually pretty even. Northeastern has won 28 matches and Boston University has won 27, which is like literally almost dead even. So this is on the 30th at noon. Sunday is Easter, so we do have a lot less games this weekend. It's, a local Boston matchup. And last match, Boston won 3-2 in one overtime. I am pro Boston. I'm rooting for Boston in this. I have a lot of friends who go to Northeastern, but I'm gonna have to err on the side of Boston. So wishing them the best of luck if any of them are watching.
And my game of the week comes from the Maryland Playday, which will include Maryland, Towson, American, and VCU. As a Towson alum, I have to give a shout out to my alma mater. But all good teams, and always a good day when you can play against Maryland.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great experience for all the teams, nice local and regional-ish play day. So I think that's going to be a fun one. So that's going to be it for us today. We hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much to Beth for joining us on the podcast. Next week's guest is going to be, next week's episode, I'm going to absolutely butcher her name. So the first question next week will be how to pronounce her last name. But next week's guest is Jillian Wolgamuth. We will have a post in my Instagram stories up either Saturday or Sunday, so you guys can ask her questions. Please, please, please ask your questions, and feel free to ask really fun or interesting questions. We're always willing to ask the most absurd questions, and I think the national team usually gives us the most absurd questions. But especially if you were watching her YouTube series this during the qualifiers, she was posting a bunch of YouTube videos. So go back, watch her videos, and ask some questions from there. But yeah, we really hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and see you next week. Bye.
See ya.